So for this section of the video, we are going to be taking a look at React basics, and we'll be learning about JSX, we'll be learning about components, we'll be learning about props, and then event handling. So what is JSX? JSX is a syntax extension for JavaScript that looks similar to HTML. It allows you to write elements and components in a declarative way. Why do we need to use JSX? Because it makes our code more readable and expressive, directly reflecting the UI structure. And we can see here is an example of what a JSX element looks like in React. So if we head over to the project folder we created earlier, inside our SRC folder, we can locate a file named app.jsx. When we click on it and we enter into the file, we can see a code here that looks somehow similar to HTML. In React, we don't call this HTML. We refer to them as JSX. And what JSX does is it helps us to write more readable code, and it reflects the UI structure of our application. So the next thing we'll be looking at is components. Components are independent reusable pieces of UI in a React application, and we have two types of components. We have functional components, that is the simple JavaScript function that returns a JSX, and we can see an example of that over here. This is what we call an arrow function. If you are familiar with arrow functions in JavaScript, that's fine, and if you are not, no worries, you have nothing to worry about. This is what an arrow function looks like in JavaScript. So this is basically a functional component in React that is returning a JSX. We can see, remember I said earlier, a JSX is a type of code that looks similar to HTML. So it is returning this component, this greeting component over here is returning this JSX element, hello world. So the second type of component we have in React is the class component. Class components extend React components, and they have a render method. This is what developers used back in the day to write components in React. It is what they used back in the day, and with recent updates, functional components is what majority of developers use these days. Though we might still see some developers making use of class components. It's totally fine, but majority of developers now use functional components now. So the next thing we'll be looking at is props. Props is a short form of properties, and they are used to pass data from a parent component to a child component. How do we use props? We use props by passing it as a component like HTML attributes. Here is an example. We can see a functional component over here, and this props is being passed as a parameter into the functional component, which is returning a JSX with an object props.name. This props parameter over here is an object that holds all the props that is being passed to this component. So any props that is being passed into this component, this parameter is responsible for holding all the props in place. And props.name, on the other hand, is responsible for accessing the name prop and insert it into the JSX, displaying it on the screen. So we'll look at an example on that very soon. Why do we need to use props? Because they allow components to be dynamic and reusable by passing different data to them. Let's head over to our code editor briefly and see what this means. Let's say we have a parent component called app, and that is our app.jsx. Let us assume this is our parent component. and it wants to display a greeting message using a child component called greeting. All we need to do is to create a child component first and name it greeting. Let's do that. Let's come inside our SRC folder here and create a child component. Let's name it greeting.jsx, and oops. Yes, here's our functional components, and we pass in our props. Then we would return an h1 tag. Let's say hello. We pass in our props.name. So this is our child component that has a functional component returning hello props.name. So we'll head over to our parent component, which is the app.jsx. Over here, we'll say we're going to be importing our greeting component. Import greeting from greeting. We've successfully imported our greeting component, and let's head over here. Let's create a div tag and say greeting like so. Then we'll pass in a name of our choice. We can say name Josh. Yes. So what this is going to do is this name prop over here is going to be sent from this parent component, which is the app.jsx. It will be sent to the child component, which is greeting.jsx over here, which would display hello Josh on the screen. Let's take a look at that on our browser. So now we can see nothing is being displayed on my browser, and let's debug that real quick. Let me bring up my the developer tool. Let's see. Okay. So the requested module src greeting.jsx does not provide an export named default. This is where our error is coming from, and that means over here I forgot to export this file. For every component in our React application, we have to export the component by saying export default. Greeting. Let's reload our browser and see. Yes, there we have it. We can see hello Josh on the screen, and the cool thing about this is we can call the greeting component as many times as we want. We can see hello hello James. Oops. And there you have it. We have another greeting being displayed on the screen. Hello James. So each greeting component over here is going to display a personalized greeting based on the name prop it receives. So this receives a name prop Josh, this receives a name prop James, and this displays hello John, hello Josh, and this displays hello James. So props is actually a powerful tool in React because it allows us to make components dynamic, in the sense that instead of hard coding values inside components each time, we can actually pass data from the parent component, making the child component more flexible and adaptable to different use cases. So that is it for props, and I hope the explanations make sense. The next concept we'll be taking a look at is event handling. React handles events in a declarative way, making it easy to manage user interactions. And React uses a system called synthetic events to normalize event handling across different browsers. One way or the other, we might have come across let's say a button on the website, and that when you click on the button, maybe a pop-up modal comes up, or display a user interface is being displayed, or something like that. That action right there is what we refer to as event handling. And we can see here there is an arrow function that is showing an alert that says button clicked, and it is being called inside this JSX button. We say on click, undo click. This is the function name over here, undo click. It is being called inside this JSX. So what this does is anytime this button is clicked, this function over here is being invoked, thereby returning an alert message on the screen of your browser. Let's head over to our code editor and see how that works. So if we come over here and see const undo click, alert, clicked. Okay, so now we have our function. So inside of our JSX tag here, we can render a button. And say click me. Okay, so we are going to be calling our events. We say on click. That means anytime we click on this button, we should invoke the undo click function. Let's see. So I'll click on this. We can see our alert over here. We try that again. See our alerts over here. And on click is not the only event we have while handling events in React. We have quite a number of events. We have on abort, on animation end. We have different types of events that we can use. Another one I would love to show you guys is on mouse over. On mouse over. So what this does is instead of clicking on the button, anytime we hover the button, our alert comes up. So I'm not going to click on the button this time around. I'm just going to hover the button, and we'll see our alert message. We can see over display. So that is pretty much it about event handling in React.